Hey everybody, this is Rockcat here. Happy Earth Day. I am here to talk to you a little bit about my snakes and kind of get the inside scoop on some of the care that I do for them. So I hope you enjoy it.
Well, thanks for joining us, Rockcat. We totally miss you, and we're glad to see you. Any spoilers for today before we
You enjoy
start?
it. So just so everybody knows, we will be feeding one of the snakes in this video. So just be aware. This is
Wow, that would be pretty cool. I really enjoy learning about the food cycle. So, how long does it take for a snake to break down some food?
need a long time to break up all that food. In the wild, a snake like an anaconda or something like that, they would eat a really big meal and it could even take them months to digest that food.
Wow. So, if they eat a big meal like that, how long will it take before they want to eat again, Rockcat?
They will not eat for almost half a year sometimes if they eat a really big meal. In the case of corn snakes, I feed them one mouse once a week. So they need 2 days to sit and properly digest their food before I start taking them out of their cage to handle them or clean the cage or anything like that.
Wow, it sounds like a snake is a pretty low maintenance roommate. So I don't really know a lot about snakes. So before we meet your friend, could you tell me how he actually would come and eat lunch with us?
I'm going to talk a little bit about his teeth structure and his jaw structure. So, a lot of people believe that the jaw unhinges, but it's actually just a muscle group right here in his jaw that is able to stretch from one point to another, and the jaw is able to expand outwardly for him to squeeze that mouse into his throat and tummy.
Interesting. Kind of like I would squeeze open a chip clip to put on my bag of chips when I'm done eating them. Cool. All right, now tell me more about these
So
teeth.
these teeth are all curved, right? So the food cannot escape. The food, once they make that bite, goes into the mouth. Um, Something that a lot of people don't think of is actually snakes' teeth are really delicate. So there have been cases where snakes get scared and will bite people, and people jerk away really quickly because that's of course your normal reaction when something bites you. Well, with that curved mouth, that doesn't work very well. The snake will stay attached, or even worse, it will break off the snake's teeth, which is not cool, and can actually cause them a lot of harm. But with our corn snakes, they have a lot smaller teeth than what are in these pictures here. This is the bone structure of a Burmese python. So they have way, way, way bigger teeth than little tiny Libra's teeth over here.
Well, that makes sense how the snake traps its prey or its food. But how does it know where to find its food?
Also show this other diagram that explains the Jacobson's organ inside of the snake. And this is a great little diagram. It has a derpy little rat or corn snake kind of looking friend here. So the forked tongue, I describe it a lot as a plug going into a light socket. Think of a plug because it has two prongs on the end of it, right? So those two prongs go out into the world and they get scent molecules attached to the end of that tongue. And that's another reason why they have that forked tongue so they can get a little more expansion on that reach. Then the tongue goes back into the mouth, right? We see snakes all the time going in and out, in and out. It goes back into the mouth, and it doesn't just go into the mouth. It goes into the special organ. It's called the Jacobson's organ, and it is the plug for that light socket. So the Jacobson's organ goes into the light socket, into the Jacobson's organ. It plugs in, and this nerve here connects the Jacobson's organ to the brain, and the snake is able to analyze all of the information that tongue is pulling into the Jacobson's organ. So, like I
Wait. You're saying that a snake doesn't see its food with its eyes? It's seeing its food with its tongue?
so like I was saying earlier, it looks like snakes' eyes are open all the time, But actually, their eyes are closed most of the time. They have a coating over their eyes. They can't see very well, and they can't hear very well either. They don't have exposed ears, and they really rely most on their chemosensory organ, which is what that Jacobson's organ is. It's kind of a combination of scent and smell in a way because they are relying on those scent molecules to analyze their world around them. So a snake might not necessarily hear you coming, um, and they might not see you coming. So it's important to be very careful when we're outside. You know, they try their best to give us warnings, like how Libra shook his tail at me a little bit when he felt like I was too close. And they try their best to communicate, even though they can't use words, and they're basically unable to see. So they really try their best.
Oh, well, now that you've told me all this stuff, Rockcat, I kind of feel a little more comfortable with snakes. I really appreciate you taking the time to explain that to me. I think my problem has always been that I'm scared that there's going to be a venomous snake that comes over and I don't know what to do then.
I'll show you this other diagram, which explains some of the ways our snakes can be distinguished from venomous and non-venomous snakes. And these aren't all necessarily true. Snakes will, just like Libra did, he shook his tail to imitate a rattlesnake. Well, he's not a rattlesnake. Um, they will also flatten out their heads to try to look like a venomous snake, even though they're not. So these aren't totally reliable. The best way to be able to determine if a snake is venomous or not is to learn the venomous snakes in your area. We only have a few venomous snakes in our area, three that you see pretty often, or more often than the other. And I recommend doing your research, joining a snake identification group, and trying to learn about snakes that way.
That's totally a great idea. I really think you're right. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the more confident you'll feel. So, at the end of this session, I'm going to post a poster or an informational PDF of the snakes of Illinois so everyone can take some time and get to know them a little bit better as well. All right, I think everyone's ready. We finally are ready to meet Libra. Will you please do the honor of introducing him, Rockcat?
Hey, bud. And now he's flicking that tongue a lot. He is really trying to readjust to his surroundings right now. He's stretching his jaw a little bit after doing all that exercise, too.
Oh, wow, Libra, you are so beautiful. I can't believe all the different colors you have on your body and your scales and the way that you move. Show me what else you got, man. What you working with?
So now he is constricting and squeezing all of those very strong neck muscles that snakes have down towards his abdomen, down his throat. You can see the white in his scales come out. That's because his scales are stretching there. You can adjust his mouth there. Good job, buddy. And he's actually just constricting and squeezing that. Right, I'm not even close to you.
Oh, I see you, Libra. Shaking that tail. Shaking that tail. All right, Rat Cat, you better back up. Libra says you might have that camera a little too close. Well, I can say that honestly, even though we're all having this virtual experience right now together, I feel like I'm kind of bonded with Libra and he has a comfortable place at my table. We can all have a meal together or I guess in this case, since it's a virtual experience and you're at your place and I'm at mine and all of you guys are at your place, Libra could eat right there on the floor. What do you guys think?
Okay, so now we're on to the actual feeding process. I have washed my hands with soap and water because I want to make sure that the scent of the mouse is not on my hands when I go to touch the snake. And normally, I would recommend for people to have their mouse in a box to feed their snake, or maybe even a different terrarium or aquarium. But because I'm gonna be right here the whole time, I'm just going to put them right there on the floor so we can get a good video of it. And little did you know that Libra's been hiding here the whole time in this blanket. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab Libra. Once again, this is another reason it's important to have that mouse scent washed off your hands because we don't want Libra to confuse me for food because I am too big. All right, so we're gonna take Libra. Libra is a corn snake. He is about 10 years old now. Actually, it's kind of hard because I did not get him at birth, so he's probably over a decade old.
All right, Rockcat, I think we should hold it for one more second. Before we go any further, I do want to just remind anyone that if you're squeamish or you're not interested in seeing a snake actually have a meal, which in this case would be a frozen mouse that Rockcat has provided from a pet food store. Do you want to tell them a little bit about it?
This is a prepackaged dead and frozen mouse from Petco. I do encourage people to purchase from a local pet store. That's usually what I do, but because of everything being shut down, this is the type of mice I've been having to buy lately. So I've left this out to thaw for a couple hours. You can speed up that process if you have yours frozen, which you should. You should leave it out for a couple hours, or to speed up that process, like I said, you can put it underneath some warm water or set it in some warm water for it to de-thaw a little bit faster. And afterwards, obviously, you just take the Rota out of the package. So it looks like this, little dead mouse. And this is a big recommendation for me. I try to have people not feed their snakes inside of their enclosures, especially if they're first-time reptile or snake owners, because that snake or animal is going to associate you lifting that lid and going into the enclosure with food when you may not be doing that every time. So I recommend feeding your animals outside of their enclosures unless you feel like you're going to be able to help them make a distinction between your hand and food, or if you're comfortable waiting for them to calm down if you're trying to help them make that distinction between hand and food.
So it sounds like, Rockcat, you really recommend that people feed their pet snakes or their companion snake dead mice rather than alive mice. All right, well, it looks like this is the time in which we're gonna move forward and do it. We're gonna have a meal with my friend Rockcat and her friend Libra right here in the virtual world. So if you do not want to see Libra have a snack mouse with us, then now is a great time to tune out. You can totally check out more programming through the Girl Scouts of Southern Illinois on our virtual Girl Scouting page at www.gsofsi.org, and then go to our programming, Virtual Girl Scouting, or just get outside and enjoy some fresh air and celebrate the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. All right. Waiting one more second for anyone who wants to tune out. Tune out. Okay. All right, Rockcat. Let's see this. What will Libra do? Show us. I'm excited to see.
I'm just gonna place him next to the mouse, and he will start eating. Um, Mice do not have to be live for them to um, want to eat them. It can take a while to get a snake adjusted to dead prey versus live prey, especially if they're raised on live prey. I might need to wiggle it for him, but maybe he'll get it in a second here. He's definitely smelling it. You can see that. Come on, buddy. So snakes flick their tongue, and that's the reason they have a forked tongue, to help activate their Jacobson's organ, which helps allow them to smell and understand their surroundings. It looks like snakes have their eyes open all the time, but in reality, they have a hard shell over their eyes, so it's more like their eyes are closed all the time. Here we go. Now he's really seeing that it's there.
Oh, wow, this is going to take much longer than I expected. Do you kind of want to explain the process why I do a little bit of virtual magic on my end?
Snakes do not have arms or legs. They have very curved teeth. This allows them to kind of use their teeth as eating utensils to pull food into their mouth. They have very specialized muscles on the sides of their jaws that allows them to stretch and eat their food whole. And they have very acidic stomachs that allow them to break down all the parts of their meal, including bones and fur.
So, what I'm hearing you say, Rockcat, is that a snake would be an excellent contestant for a pie eating contest because they're used to eating with no utensils and no hands. All right, but anyways, back to Libra. Tell me more.
So, right now, Libra is using those teeth, his only eating utensils, to help him navigate which end to start eating the mouse. He is seeming like he's gonna go tail first, which is a little bit more difficult, but he'll be fine. It's a lot easier to go head first. So either he'll keep going tail first, or he'll actually rotate to the front of the mouse. We'll see what happens. You'll be able to see some of those little teeth in there too. Yep, he's going tail first. All right, so Libra's rattling his tail at me, which tells me that I'm getting a little bit too close. That is, there he goes again. That is a defense mechanism that a lot of snakes actually use to try to trick people and also other animals into respecting their space a little bit. So I'm going to use the zoom method a little bit here just to keep him more comfortable. And I'm not even close to you, bud. And that is totally normal of many snakes that are not rattlesnakes. Don't let a non venomous snake trick you into thinking it's a rattlesnake because they shake their tail. All they're trying to do is request for space.
It sounds like Libra's probably an advocate for the leave no trace rule of thumb. If you guys don't know, the leave no trace rule of thumb is if you close one eye and stick out your thumb and look at that thumb, if that thumb isn't covering the entire animal, then you're probably a little bit too close to that animal. So go ahead and back up a little bit and give that animal or whatever creature a little space. Respect their space. I don't think that's too much to ask. Do you, Rockcat?
And that's not too much to ask. Now we have a pretty good, interesting view of the inside of his mouth here. And at this point, he's not so much using those teeth as eating utensils, but he's going to start using his whole body to help him kind of move and wiggle the mouse down his throat. I'll also mention it's really important, just like you don't, or you shouldn't, bother your dog when they're eating their food. It's important you don't bother your snake when they're eating their food too. This is a pretty delicate process, and making the snake feel uncomfortable or scared could cause them to throw up their whole meal, and it's a lot of work for them to get that thing down their throat. So when he started rattling his tail, I made sure to back off a little bit. So now,
Wow, that was so cool. All right, okay, what's Libra doing now? Tell me, what's he doing?
um, constricting and squeezing that mouse all the way down his throat. We can see it pretty clearly where it is right now. And he'll just keep doing this. He'll keep curving his body like this until it goes all the way to his tummy. And even after he's finished here, I'm gonna give him a second to rest. It's really important that we don't bother our snakes too much after they've eaten since they're so sensitive.
Well, let's see if we can just do a little bit of virtual magic to speed up this thing. How long do you need to let Libra rest?
Okay, so we have Libra has relaxed a little bit more after eating, and now I'm gonna let him relax. I'm gonna put him into his cage and let him chill. It's really like kind of like I mentioned, it's really important that we don't interact with our snake actually for about 2 days after we feed them. So he's like, I want to hide. I feel scared.
Okay, then we'll let you put Libra up. It was so good seeing you. We'll talk to you later. And if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to get on Facebook to our Earth Day event page and post those comments there. And I can link you to Rockcat or myself.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope everybody has a happy Earth Day. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. Goodbye.